So the human body is not just made up of just one element being the spirit. There's also the mind. There's also everything else around that. So there has to always be a balance. You cannot just force feed someone into something, because if I were to be like, I can see you depressed, but humble twasa. Uktwasa requires you to be awake most of the time. And if you are depressed and you always want to sleep and not speak to everybody, how are you gonna cope? How are you gonna go through all of these things? There's nothing wrong with telling a person that now is not yet time for you to answer your calling, because the problem is that we are being forced and pressured into things we are not ready for. We need to prepare ourselves mentally also for what is about to come, because it is a big change, and it's being made to look normal that more they tell you before you leave, get used to the fact that you're going to be called a witch, get used to be the fact, and it's not normal. It's not normal. How do you get used to being looked down on in the community? Every time something goes wrong, you the person that's being blamed. So I think we need to work hand in hand in finding that, because a lot of people end up going through uktwasa, come back, and they don't even know how to utilize their gifts, because they themselves are going through the most. Like they're even afraid to say, yo, yazini angikho right, because uma uthi umufike ekhaya uthi awukho right, umamakho hamba phahla uzoba right, amadlozi ayafuna ukuthi banake, because there's also these mood swings that you get once you're called. But that's how I'm saying that once we heal from a perspective of open-mindedness, we are able to help people become better healers and not force feed the gift down their throats. That is why people opt to substance abuse. It's not nice must be or we being called senzani, or it is because we are numbing the reality that is there. We are numbing the pain by something else, because as only in our communities to look, we can just see so it's not supposed to be like that. We also need to be able to say we need help. It would be such a beautiful thing to see Ugobela going for counseling. I would be happy, because we need help. We need help. Imagine someone that would tell you that I was living with in Islwane, people could not see that. But when we talk about that, it's like, oh, how well, it's not normal. We are young. I don't know how it feels to be a young 23-year-old living her best life. All I know is stress, frustration, being angry, Izozi demanding my life. That's all I know. And jiggy now, I'm a sangoma. So our youth sometimes get taken away, and we are afraid to say Yasmin and it was not because I had to, but it was a lot of things. By the time I'm 16, so it's a lot of things. It's a lot. But hey guys, let's find help. We can't live like this. I want to be a better ancestor. I don't want to be a bitter or depressed ancestor and start living my life through my daughter or my child. I don't want that. yeah.
You mentioned quite important things, and you've touched so many things in that, like in terms of there's this spirituality, there's this mental health. What is it that I need to do? And you've mentioned that at some point you need to mention that even if there is this calling, but you need to mention that, hey, look, at this current moment, I am not ready at this current moment because of whatever ABC, whatever mental health reason. Because as you've said that, as spiritualists, we also, you need healing. You mentioned quite an important quote that healers need healing. And I hope that tags you along. It becomes a t-shirt, becomes a quote, healers need healing. That's the reality. You understand? So you've mentioned quite important things. And I think the next question is that how do we then, as Western medicine, integrate all of this? Because I feel like there's a textbook, fine. We go through it. There's signs and symptoms, sharp. But where do we find that integration between, because one of our assignments, well, I studied in UKZ, and one of our assignments in our rural medicine rotation is actually to go to a traditional healer and interview them and actually find out certain aspects of what is it that they do. But a common question that comes across is, how do we actually integrate Western medicine and, your traditional medicine, or when it comes to spiritualists? Because as much as there are certain conditions, there are certain symptoms, but how do we work together? Because a lot of the times, you know, with our counterparts that don't necessarily understand that there is this aspect, you understand, like as a black individual, you understand, as an African individual, you understand, oh look, there is Western medicine, mara, there's this aspect that I need to consider. And a lot of the times what
Yeah.
happens, we are frustrated to say, hey, look, but why did you go there? It's just TB, or it's just HIV, it's just whatever. But how do we find that integration? Because I feel like until we find that integration, is that's where we can actually.
Hi, SR Squad. So, guys, I was listening to Mpho Wa Badimo with other two gents, and they were just speaking about Ubungoma, right? And I just found what Mpho Wa Badimo said very interesting. So, Mpho Wa Badimo said that you can't twasa when you are depressed, because how are you going to serve your purpose while you yourself you're not okay? And I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. And she also mentioned something about people with this calling. She said that people who have this calling usually get pressured to accept this calling quicker. It's like they are on the run, and she encourages people to to take their time, because if you go to Twasa and become a Sangoma, and then you yourself you're not okay, what is going to happen? And it's okay to accept the fact that you are not okay mentally. And obviously, if you're not okay mentally, you can't be okay physically. You won't be able to do your best when you are serving your purpose. Anyway, as our squad, do comment down below and let me know if you have ever, because we have different beliefs. So if you have ever being pressured to accept your calling, it doesn't even have to be ubungoma, other callings. Have you ever been pressured to accept? It's like you're on the run and everybody just can't understand that you are not ready to do that certain thing that you have to do. Thank you so much for watching.